Hey, horror fans. Welcome back to Halfway to Halloween, day 2. The panel today is going to be Joe Castro. Joe's one of the most prolific and talented special effects artists working in horror films. But Joe's worn many hats during his 4 decades of honing his craft. He's been a producer, director, writer, an actor in films such as Ceremony, Legend of the Chupacabra, The Summer of Massacre, which we're going to talk a little bit about with Joe. And of course, the crowning jewel for Joe, I think, the Toons franchise. Hey, Joe, welcome to Halfway to Halloween. We're just thrilled to have you on.
Hi, Charlie. That was an amazing introduction, and it's so great to be here.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much.
Before we start, I want to say that I'm very grateful for all that the podcasters and people like you do for our industry, getting the word out there about us and making the audience aware of us. So we appreciate you, we love you, and much respect to you, sir.
Well, that is so nice of you to say, Joe, but we're the ones in your debt because you've given us so many amazing special effects and so many incredible horror films through the years. When I started to prepare for the interviews, I had 3 interviews coming up this weekend, and I thought, well, what's the connectivity between all the people I'm going to interview? And, we're all from different generations. I'm really from the old school. And I thought, well, here's the connectivity. We're all monster kids. We all grew up. At some point, we started to love monsters. And as I was telling Josh Milliken yesterday, I said, but we never grew out of it. We continued that.
That's right.
And so, yeah, absolutely. So I know that my earliest experiences were, watching horror films with my mom. But you and I have other things in common too, because you were raised on a goat ranch in Texas, right?
That's correct.
And I was raised on a dairy in Central California. I think you're from a conservative Roman Catholic family.
Oh, yes, indeed.
I am too. And here we go, Joe. This is when I knew we were going to be pals. Let me see if I can show you this picture. And do you recognize that guy? Well, wait, let me get it here. Can you see him? Is there too much of a glare there?
Forey?
That is Forey. That is Forey 30 years ago. And I am holding a story that Forey was nice enough to try to sell for me, and 30 years ago. And, I was thinking about that game that people play, the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. And I was thinking that in the horror industry, the 6 Degrees of Forrest J. Ackerman, because even today, young filmmakers and writers, they may not be aware of it, but I bet you can trace 6 Degrees back to Forrest J. Ackerman.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the reason why you and I are having this interview right now is because of Forey. Without Forey, we wouldn't be having this interview. Because Forey was the first horror sci-fi aficionado, junkie, squid, fanboy. He was the very first one. And he kind of, sculpted and molded this whole idea that we should all be family and we should all get together and we should all talk and we should all celebrate these things that most people find very strange, and odd. And when you put 2 of us together in a room, we don't stop talking until the lights come on and they tell us to go home,
That's absolutely right. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to. That's okay.
Go ahead,
Joe. I was fortunate enough to talk to Forey on a number of occasions, and I went down and had lunch with him one day, and at the House of Pies, which probably sounds familiar to you. But
like
he
skip and a jump from his house.
Yeah, it was. It really
I
was.
said it was.
And
Yeah.
he was just so open and welcoming. I mean, he was so supportive. He treated me the same way I'm sure he treated John Landis and, Joe Dante and some of the other people that were influenced by him. So I know that you actually won a contest that was sponsored by Famous Monsters of Filmland when you were like 15 years old, which is incredible. Tell me a little bit about that experience and what was involved in that.
That's a great topic. When I was 15 years old, Forrest Ackerman, Uncle Forey, well, he had already stopped producing Famous Monsters of Filmland, but he started like a cousin magazine called Monsterland, and he had he had put together a contest in the magazine, and it was make a special effect and have it be judged by Joe Dante and John Carl Buechler, and the winner gets to come to Hollywood and meet all the Hollywood horror icons. And
wow.
the one of the rules was you had to be 17 and under. You couldn't be over 18. So it was all these like 14 and 15 and 16 years old. And I'm actually friends with the other people that won that I won the contest, but the second place and the third place winner, I'm actually friends with them on Facebook. We're all kind of friends still to this day.
Hey, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So one of my good friends who lived like literally a quarter of a mile from me, his name was Kevin Williams. He went off to pursue a career in the FBI, but he actually was I think he was the second or third place winner as well in the contest. We used to make horror movies together, make special effects together, and videotape them and make our own home movies. And yeah, it was like a dream come true. I made this special effect and sent it to the magazine, and they told me I'd won the contest. That Joe Dante picked my winning entry, and so did John Carl Buechler. And John Carl Buechler narrowed them down to like 3 or 4, and then Joe Dante picked a winner from there. I got to go to the set of Inner Space when they were shooting it at the Palace here, and I got to meet Joe Dante and Robert Picardo. And then I got to meet Brink Stevens for the first time. She was going to be like a spokesperson for the magazine, and she was they were dressed her up as a character Evola, and our good friend Sabin Gray took the pictures of us for the magazine. Oh, I got to actually I got to have my picture taken with the SUX 6000 2000, the car from RoboCop. Before it was even rolled off to the movie set. So yeah, there was all. I got to meet Doug Beswick at his special effects shop. Now, Doug Beswick used to work with Rick Baker, and when he went off and had his own shop, he made that giant pumpkin. I think they call it the pumpkin head demon from Evil Dead 2 that comes through the doorway at the very end. And they had it there in the shop. I got to see that when I was 15 years old, and then they had the little stop motion animation characters of the character, the lead character's decapitated girlfriend from the Evil Dead dancing around, the miniature sets there. So yeah, it was an amazing experience, and I got to meet John Carl Buechler at his shop when he was doing Ghoulies 2, and Ken Hall was in the shop at the time. Ken Hall, who wrote the original Puppet Master and also Nightmare Sisters, and Cleve Hall, who's one of God bless his soul. He recently passed last year, but I got to meet him and so many amazing people, and so kind of like opened the door. It was 15, and I'm gonna tell you one little funny story. So when I was taking pictures, when I was taking pictures with Brink Stevens and Sabin Gray at I believe it was Sabin's house in West Hollywood, my mother had to come along with me because I was a minor, and I'm an openly gay man. I have been with my partner for 24 years. We have an amazing relationship. We made 11 movies together. But at the time, I was, very conservative Christian values, right? A Catholic family. We went to this house, and I was taking this picture with this very sexy lady, and it was Brink. I just met her, and my mother, she didn't think anything of that. I said, "May I use the bathroom?" And so Sabin said, "Yes, it's right over there." So I went over and opened the door of the bathroom. Went to the bathroom, and the bathroom was literally like what do you call it? Collaged, wallpaper collaged, with literally hundreds of naked men, just naked men everywhere. And I'd never seen anything like that before in my entire life. This is my first introduction to Hollywood. So then I go to the bathroom, I come back out, and I go back to the photo shoot, and my mother says, "Where's the bathroom?" I said, I was like, I was shaking. What was she gonna say when she came back?
Yeah.
She didn't say anything. But when we left that photo shoot, and I went to the front door, it was a big house in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
Saban, Dave Dakota was there. Dave Dakota, the filmmaker Dave Dakota was there. A gay filmmaker. Saban Gray, Bring Stevens, and I believe it was one other person, but I forget who it was. I think it might have been Jim Keegan. They came to the door. They walked me to the door, and they said, "Goodbye, Joe. We'll see you soon." Oh, goodbye, Joey. We'll see you soon, is what they said. And when I turned 18, I ran out to Hollywood and never looked back. And that's I've been here ever since.
It's so much fun to hear you talk about it, because that enthusiasm of a teenager is still in your voice when you're talking about that experience. And those are the kinds of things that I think are so great about the horror community, because you carry that enthusiasm with you throughout your life.
Well, I definitely made real family and real love and real friends with those people. Brink.
And I think
and
the nice thing about
still part of my family today. Yeah.
The nice thing I think about the horror community too is it's so inclusive. It doesn't matter what background you're from. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't, everybody is part of that big group. And I think that's what drew me to it too. I always liked the idea that, coming from the conservative background, like we were talking about, you get into horror and science fiction and the whole world opens up. It's this whole world of possibility. Whether
anything is possible,
whether you create it or whether it exists, it just opens up. And so that was great. Hey, Joe, living on a goat farm, and I was raised on a dairy, that's a different experience, because, at a very young age, I remember going out and watching the butcher come and butcher pigs and butcher cattle. And, it was normal for me, but somebody else coming into that situation would go, "Oh my God, this is the most awful thing. This is horrific." And I was just wondering, how did that affect you growing up on a goat farm? Because I'm sure you saw similar things to what I saw in the dairy. How did that impact your creation of effects, or, what influence did it have on you?
That's an amazing question. That really, really is. I think where I might be going with something like that. I can honestly say, growing up on that goat ranch, it really, I didn't even know what I was experiencing and how much it was affecting me until I had friends that I discussed these things with, because I saw and participated in things that I don't believe any child should participate in.
Right.
Because of the way I wasn't ready to carry that responsibility. Butchering animals, killing animals. I know what realism looks like. I know what that looks like. And it intensely has affected the way that I create things and the things that I use. And we had a lot of great examples growing up in the horror film industry and in the movie industry, but we had a lot of those great examples were still not good. We had great examples of bad things. We had great examples of good things. I just wanted to say it was traumatizing. It was very traumatizing.
Yeah, it could be. But no, I agree.
Very traumatizing. Yeah,
it could be very traumatizing. Yeah.
But it also definitely helped me create. I produce the way I produce things today is a direct result of the things I saw as a child. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So You got to take the good with the bad, right? You got to take the good with the bad.
You do.
I
It's
love my
it's
childhood.
all part of the same experience.
I hope that wasn't
how
too
did
much
you
of a downer.
No, not at all, because it's part of our background. I mean, it's something we live with, right? How did you manage to earn your first paycheck when you were 12 years old? That just boggles my mind. And that was in that was in doing special effects or makeup, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Okay, I believe when I was like 10-ish, but when I was 12 years old, I bought this magazine, and it was called Cinemagic, and it was issue number 6. I got it for my birthday. My cousin Eddie Perez, who had a twin brother, they were 33 at the time, and they were big horror aficionados. And he took me to this comic book store. I'd never even been to a comic book store in my entire life. I grew up in this small town outside of San Antonio. And he said, buy whatever book you want. And I found this magazine. It was called Cinemagic, and it was issue number 6. And on the cover, it shows a man, and he's creating an alien, or the alien's creating a man. I think it's what it is in a mask. And it said, I believe it said how to make a monster or something similar to that. And basically in this magazine, it had step-by-step instructions of how to make a rubber mask. And
oh my gosh.
And in the process of doing that, you kind of learn all the fundamentals of making special effects, making a life cast of somebody, sculpting on that life cast, making a mold off that life cast, then pouring it up in rubber or latex so you can paint it and have a mask. And I got that magazine when I was 12. I was able to produce my first rubber mask, and people knew that I was able to do this. So people would hire me. And one of the first jobs I got was someone asked me to make a young man into an old man for a PBS special. And I used like cotton and latex that I got. I found there was instructions. Alan Orbsey, who was Tom Savani's like side partner on many films, wrote a book. So like I think it was called How to Make a Monster or Monster Maker. And he had these amazing step-by-step instructions of how to use cotton and latex and how to use paper mache and how to create creatures and things like Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and the Mummy. And so I used those techniques to make this young actor into an old man. I put the cotton and latex here on the face, and I drew wrinkles on his forehead, and I got gray hairspray in a can and sprayed it in his hair to make him older, and put mustaches and beards on him using crepe hair. And I knew how to use spirit gum at the time. So all those basic fundamentals came from that book. And I think I actually bought Alan Orbsey's book from like the book club at my elementary school. That's how long I had that, like when I was 10 years old.
Wow.
Or maybe even like, I want to say 6 years old, 7 years old. Yeah, I had it that long.
That's incredible. You mentioned Tom Savini, and I understand that you said you decided you wanted to talk to Tom Savini when you were what, like 11 years old?
Yeah,
so you look up
his, 11 or 12. Yeah,
you look up his number, and it's listed there, and you just call him.
I just call him on the phone, and I'm sure I didn't sound the way I sound now. It was, is this Tom Savini? But
he talked to you. I read he talked to you for like 40 minutes or an hour or 2 hours. I don't know.
I called him on several occasions, and Tom was very generous with his time and was very informative and with his instructions of how to do things. He was very adamant about making sure that other people at the time I don't know what he was thinking, but it appeared as though he found a lot of value in sharing what he knew, and it made him feel great. And so he did, because why else would you spend so much time with a 12-year-old on the phone, or 12, 13, 14, around that time? I would call him. I wouldn't call him too much to bug him. Maybe I did. I don't remember. Maybe I called him and bugged him a whole bunch. But he did take the time to explain certain things to me, as I recall. And he was always very kind to me. And even when I met him in person the first time, he was very kind to me. And I have nothing but
do you stay in touch with him, and does he remember?
I don't really talk to
that?
Yeah, he does. He didn't really remember me. I said, hey Tom, do you remember me from the phone? And he said, I don't. He said, I can't remember. He meets every every kid at a convention or whatever is,
I'm sure.
clawing all over him and trying to get in pictures with him, and so, but yeah, that's yeah.
You also kind of developed your skills working on haunted houses, right? For various charities around is it San Antonio? The San Antonio area?
Yeah, San Antonio is a very big city. It's huge. It's a giant city. And I don't know if it was like the 6th largest in the nation at the time or something like that. But the March of Dimes and the Muscular Dystrophy Association were very big fundraising organizations there in San Antonio. And they got wind that I was a prolific special effects artist in town. I'm a young kid, so they asked me if I would design and create their haunted houses. This is like my freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year in high school. I did one every year for them, and one year I would do it for the March of Dimes, and one year I would do it for the Muscular Dystrophy, and they would like. They would compete to see who was going to get me which year. One year, one of the fundraisers said, "I have tickets to go see Divine in concert, Joe. Will you come and do?" And they gave me 2 tickets, and it was Divine's last performance. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about, Divine?
Oh yeah, in fact, I just watched. I think it's the Netflix documentary. Have you seen that?
No, I heard it's amazing though. Huh?
Yeah, it's very good. Yes,
I got to see. Yeah. I would definitely want to see it. Yeah, it was his very last concert ever. He did in San Antonio, Texas, and then like the very next day, he had a heart attack. Yeah, and when Divine walked out on stage, I was right up there against the stage, and he was shaking people's hands, and he went to shake my hand, and I wouldn't let go. I grabbed on with 2 hands, and he drugged me like this. I was just this. I just wouldn't take no for an answer. That's how I kind of, as a young person, So I worked in haunted houses. I did, I would draw on a piece of paper, like the bird's eye view of how I wanted the maze to go. And these big giant hardware stores like Home Depot at the time would have to donate so much every year to fundraising to get what do you call it, a tax deduction. So they would literally donate like thousands and thousands of dollars of building materials to build these haunted houses for these.
Oh man, that's perfect.
Yeah, and it was great. Then the special effects supply houses out in LA would send rubber to San Antonio for me to make masks and plaster and all that stuff for free. So I spent the 4 years in high school developing my skills doing these haunted houses when I got all these free materials and stuff.
Wow. In doing research for this interview, Joe, I one of the things I found out that San Antonio is the heavy metal capital of the world. So as a result,
it used to be. I think it used to be. I think once they got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's in another state now, right? The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
When they developed,
I think it's in.
I think it kind of lost its place as the heavy metal capital, but it used to be the heavy metal capital of the world. Yeah.
Right, and so that kind of translated into a great test market for horror films.
That's right.
So you have to tell me how you're like 12 years old and you're watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 with Tobe Hooper.
Yeah, that's right. I think they still do that today, where if your legal parent or guardian walks you to the ticket booth and buys the ticket, they can sign you in to watch a rated R movie. It was the same back then. But then there were these unrated films. These, most of the films that we love were released non-rated or unrated or rated X, basically. Movies like City of the Living Dead, which was released as Twilight of the Living Dead back in 1983, Gates of Hell, and there was so many films. I mean, I think even the original Toxic Avenger was released unrated, so that way they could keep in all the gore and stuff. I saw that as an unrated film, but I got to see things like I got to see The Deadly Spawn in a movie theater on a screen.
Oh, wow.
People got to see that when it was released, but yeah, The Slayer, The Company of Wolves, Bobby Brazilian Mausoleum, that old movie. So every Italian horror movie would come to San Antonio, would play in a theater there, and I got to see them all unrated. So that was my education into horror from like 12 to 15, 16 years old. Yeah. My little young fragile mind was warped beyond belief by the time I got out of high school.
Well, I've read that your dad was your biggest cheerleader.
Yes.
How did he, help you and support you?
That's that's a great question. I love that question. My dad, it's commonly known, but my dad, my dad knew what I liked because he understood that I liked dragons and dinosaurs like most young boys do. And he was working on the ranch one Saturday afternoon, and no one was around to babysit me. I was 7 years old. It was 1977, and he sat me down in front of the TV and he said, "So I'm going to be outside working, and I want you to get hurt. I'm going to be using this big electric machine to chop up firewood, the wood cutter." And he said, "So stay in here, watch this film. You're going to love it." He said, "Behave yourself." And he sat me down in front of the TV, and I watched Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, and it was my first movie I had ever seen. Yeah, it was my first movie I had ever seen by myself, all by myself in the room, just sitting there watching it. And when that movie ended and the credits were rolling, I knew exactly what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I said, my dad came inside. He said, "Did you like that?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "How do they do that, Dad?" He said, "How do they make all that stuff?" He says, "That's special effects, son. That's how they do that. They use special effects." And I said, "Can I do that and for a living?" He said, "You sure can." And I said, "That's what I want to do." And then I made a promise to my dad. My dad, one time, I was walking out the door and he was walking inside the house, and he stopped me and he said, "Son, you make a promise to me that you will never stop chasing your dream no matter what." And I said, "I promise, Dad." So here we are.
That's the greatest thing that a parent, you're so lucky, because that's the greatest thing a parent can tell their child. So he sounds like an amazing person.
He passed in 1997 in a horrific car accident by himself.
Oh,
a quarter of a mile from our house. Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
I can still tell he's around though. He's constantly, I can just tell he's here.
Just feel that presence.
Yeah, and my best friend from elementary school, his name was Gilbert Rosas, who was a year older than me, but our birthdays were 5 days apart, so we were both Tauruses. We got along like two peas in a pod. We never had an argument except for one argument our entire lives. He passed last year from COVID. Anyways, he was also a big influence in my life, and I can feel his presence too. Like just in the sense he's passed. Yeah, I can tell he's around. So I have still gone but not forgotten, and still here. They're constantly poking at me, playing tricks on me, opening doors for me, this kind of thing, watching over me. Yeah.
That's great. I think if you're open, you make yourself open, you can feel the presence of the people that have gone on, especially those members of the family and friends that we loved. Joe, I've heard that there's a high level of competition among sci-fi special effects artists, and does that come into play when you're working on a project or something like that? I mean, is there any kind of friction there when you're trying to create a project?
That's a great question. I think, okay, to answer that question, yes, there is. And yes, there has been. Yes, and yes.
Okay.
I honestly, it's taken me a long time to get here where I'm at today, but I believe that my skill set at this point and my talent has developed where the bridge to cross to get to where I'm at is so vast now for newcomers that I don't feel the pressure anymore. I don't feel that competition anymore. I have my own thing. I don't do my own thing my own way. I never had formal schooling, so all my techniques and the way that I do things are very unique to how I do them. And when other special effects artists come into my world and they watch me work, they're like always like trying to keep up with me, and they're very amazed. So I don't feel that pressure anymore. But there has been many a time when I've been on movie sets where the key makeup department, girls, I'm going to be honest with you. They don't enjoy putting makeup on other girls. They don't enjoy putting makeup on other girls. That's what they told me. They told me. They said, I don't like putting makeup on other girls. Girls don't enjoy putting makeup, especially when they see the guys over there pouring blood, cutting people up, gouging out eyeballs, and getting a standing ovation at the end of each shot. They want to come over and play with that makeup.
They want to be part of that.
That's where the competition is, you know. You got the key makeup running over and now, you know, I'm like, come on over here, pump the blood. Do you want to put a little makeup on? You know, allowing them to be a part of my world. I have done so much now, and I have so many of my own accomplishments that, you know, I'm trying to do what Tom Savini did. Come on,
well, you know what?
Let me show you.
Joe, I picked up this quote from you. I think it was from another interview, and it just perfectly sums up with what you said. And this is what you said. You said, I have found that being an artist is important, but also being a team player and using my artistic skills to enrich the lives of other people is far more satisfying. Being the person that can go into the mind of the director, the producer, the actor, and bring out what's inside is far more important to me. It's taken a long time for me to finally understand that. And that perfectly sums up what you just said. So that, to me, is the essence of being a success, is, you know, realizing that you don't do it alone. You know,
don't do it alone.
You contribute, and you just don't do it alone. What happens?
I was gonna add to that. And,
sure.
And most, I don't know if young people will understand this, but my job is not to be an amazing artist. My real job is to make my boss look and feel cool. Yeah. That's all I'm here to do. You know, that's my job. You know, it's not about the rest will follow. That will follow. All I have to do is take care of that, and everything else will happen anyways.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
Hey, what happens on a movie set when an elaborate makeup effect has to be changed at the last minute? Because the director says, or producer or somebody says, hey, we don't have 2 hours for you to do that makeup. You've got like 15 minutes and we've got to get shooting. So what is that experience like? And have you encountered that?
Oh,
I'm sure you have.
No, I'll ask for, 45 minutes and I'll get 5, or I'll ask for 2 hours and I'll get 15 minutes. Absolutely. To 2 occasions, applying, at the end of a night, crew has to be wrapped. Joe, we're going to scrap the shot. No, don't scrap the shot. I'll do it anyways. How much time do you need? Give me 15 minutes. I'll give you 5, and I'm literally putting the stuff on their face as they're walking to set, or I bring everything to set right in front of camera. I do what I need to do. Or, like, for instance, I was working on Exorcism at 60,000 feet, a film by Chad Ferrum, who is an amazing director. And there's a scene where a man and a woman are having sex in an airplane bathroom, and the woman is possessed by a demon, and she makes him melt while they're having sex. He's melting. And I told the producers I needed, like 2 hours, that way we can do like one stage and then the next stage. And I was always going to put makeup on the guy, and then I was going to bring in a puppet at the end and, have the stuff melt off the puppet. And the producer came over to me and said, Joe, you're going to have 15 minutes. The guy wants to leave set. And I said, oh, gosh.
Oh,
so
wow.
He goes, so be ready, because they're going to, when they're done shooting his dialogue, we're going to bring you in and we're going to shoot it. And I said, okay. So I had to rethink. I wasn't going to be able to do appliances and whatnot. So I did. I put out the juju to Herschel Gordon Lewis, the Godfather, who taught me how to make my gore very gory. Herschel's one of my mentors. God bless his soul.
The Wizard of Gore, right?
Wizard of Gore, right? And so what would Herschel do? So I ran over to the craft service table and I grabbed cups of coffee, creamer, salad dressing, and I think I even got some mashed potatoes or coleslaw, potato salad, and I put it in different cups, and I had cups of blood, and I had my assistant walk all these cups over to me, And then we just started pouring them on the guy's head. Ah! And
oh wow!
That's what they needed, you know. It's all we had. And here's where the key makeup was like, you can't put that on his face. That has salad dressing in it. I'm like, and then the assistant director walks over and touches his face like this. He goes, "Yep, that's salad dressing. Keep going." Like, then I pour, blood, homemade blood on his head, and the key makeup arts team is like, "What's in that blood? That's not whatever FDA approved blood or whatever from the. You made that blood. That we can't. That might blind his eyes." I'm like, it's pancake syrup with Coca-Cola. Here, let me see. Yeah, that's okay. Let's go. Keep going.
How did that compare to you? How did that turn out compared to what you would have spent 2 hours doing? You said the effect turned out well, so
I think it turned out good. Very good for it was a horror comedy, and I think it turned out it served its purpose. It was serviceable. It was fun. I think I could have done so much more if I would have had more time. But this is Hollywood, and that's how they roll sometimes. It was a big studio. It was a big production. There was a lot of money being spent, a lot of named talent, and time is money. And it was a team effort. We had to get it done, so I did it.
Well, Joe, tell me a little bit about your world record, because you're in the Guinness Book of World Records, and actually, I'm thrilled because you're the first person I've ever met who's actually in the Guinness Book of World Records.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you for asking that question. Most people don't know this, but I have my partner, Steven Escobar, and myself, and our good friend Schroeder. We have the Guinness Book of World Record for the highest body count in a slasher movie. It's 155 on-screen kills, and it's for a movie titled The Summer of Massacre. And I'm sure you can find back copies of it on DVD and Blu-ray online, but you can rent it on Vimeo. And it's just 98 minutes of amazing kills. This crazy story. It's an anthology film. There's 7 serial killers in the film, and it really it's really something special, something I'm very proud of.
Talking about some of your films, I want to first of all lead off with Terror Toons, because it's been, that's been kind of your baby as far as it being franchised. And now it's Terror Toons 4, right?
Yes,
we're on Terror Toons 4.
Yes.
What was the genesis of Terror Toons, and kind of lead me through that creative process?
All right. Well, the original Terror Toons was a brainstorm that a friend of mine and I came up with back in 2001. We were driving to a movie set to put gore on somebody, and we just kind of like we're talking and chit-chatting about ideas and stuff, and we saw this picture of this cartoon cat on the back of a car, and we both looked at it, and one of us said, "Hey, you know what? There's never been a movie about cartoons that are killers." And I said, well, there was that movie Evil Toons that I worked on. He goes, no. He said, like actual physical characters that look like cartoons that come out of the television. And I said, yeah, no, there hasn't been. And then because it's kind of like that would be like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Goes, no, not like Who Framed Roger. More like we build like sculpt suits like they're rubber cartoon. I'm like, yeah. And then I said, and then they would kill people using giant cartoon weapons that were real weapons, but they were cartoon, but they were physical. Yeah. And then someone said, yeah, and then they die, but like for real. And I said, no, that's never been done before. And I said, I want to do it. I just basically said, I want to do it. I'm going to do it. And my friend said, okay, as long as I get to make I get to sculpt the characters, and you can direct it and write it and put all together. And I said, let's do it. And that's how it was done. It was, I think, within 30 days that we started shooting the film. It was that, it took off like that.
Yeah. Now, has Terror Toons 4 come out yet?
It has not come out yet.
It's in post-production.
Yeah. We shot the first movie in 3 days for $2,300. And it moved like 50,000 units in the first 2 weeks. Blockbuster Hollywood Video was amazing success. And then the second movie we shot in 7 days for a little more money. And then the third film, it took me almost 10 years to shoot.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and it's a nightmarish masterpiece. But if you get a chance to watch it and you like the absurd, bizarre, if you like Adult Swim and cult cinema, the third one is just like it's just like eating a whole box of chocolates all at once. It's just a guilty pleasure.
You know,
it's like a 75-minute special effects shot.
You know, I was going to order Toons on, you know, in preparation for the interview, and I went on the internet, and the only place I could find it was on eBay for about $255.
Jesus Christ! Yeah,
I know, but that's great. I mean, it's a collector's item. It's in demand.
If you want to watch it streaming, you can see it on Vimeo as well.
It's on Vimeo. Okay.
Yeah, you get it as a double feature with part 1 and part 2.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to make it a point to do that. Joe, this has been just a delight talking to you today. I was excited to talk to you, and I saw I was going to be the person that got to interview you. And I just admire what you've done and how you have started from such a young age and created this career path for yourself, and you've reached that stage where you're just considered a master of your craft. And I'm just thinking about how proud your dad would be of you and everything that you've achieved, because you followed that dream. So all my respect, all my gratitude for being with us today.
Well, I appreciate your kind words, and I'm very grateful to have been on the show, and looking forward to talking with you more. And if anybody wants to reach out to me on Facebook, I'm facebook.com/joe.castro. Instagram is Joe_Castro_director. Reach out to me, send me a request. Most importantly, send me a message, and let's make a movie.
Let's do it. Hey, that is fantastic, Joe. Thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you very much.